dive into our local community. So there's no one else who is better to speak about this than Clayton Hauck. He is a photographer for over 20 years, and he started really right in the midst of Chicago, the Chicago scene, whether in nightclubs or on the street, up until the moment that he decided to open up this space. His work is human-centered and super warm, super charismatic, and just so genuine. So I'm so excited to invite Clayton Hauck up on the stage. Give him a round of applause.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. No one better to talk about it. Wow, big words. Hello, Chicago. All right, I've always wanted to do that. I just didn't think it would be at 9 a.m. on a Friday. But here we are. How is everyone today? We good? I'm gonna rearrange real quick here. See some familiar faces. I appreciate it. Very close too. Hi. All right, so we're all creatives here, right? For the most part, I think. There might be a couple accountants here for the free coffee. Which is totally fine, I get it, hard times right now. I wanted to start with a question. I would appreciate honesty, be vulnerable. Show of hands, how many of you here today are worried about your future prospects of making a living through creative practices? Show of hands. Okay, yeah, about what I expected. Shout out to the people who didn't raise your hand. You're probably not on social media, which is great. My hand is definitely up, and I don't mean to start in like a negative tone. I apologize for that, but I wanted to kind of lay the groundwork and kind of give you a little backstory on why I currently am doing way too many things in my creative life. Quick little story, a week or so ago, I was at a State of the Commercial Photography Industry event with some agency panelists. And you know, as these things go, the whole event was pretty much talking about AI specifically, and it kind of devolved into a bad thing. And I was left pretty demoralized from the experience, but I bring it up because one of the photographers in the crowd raised his hand and asked the question to the panelists, who are all agency people experienced in what's going on these days. And the photographer asked, you know, what can I do to help myself when I'm getting these crazy requests that I just don't feel comfortable with? And the best answer that I thought was said is something that I do myself, and I have done myself, and it's just if you're in a negotiation that you're not really feeling good about, just be willing to walk away. The problem is I feel like I'm walking away from pretty much every negotiation lately to the point where it's like, I don't even know if I have a job anymore, right? So I bring this up specifically because it's like today's theme. It fits perfectly, local. The urge to just talk about Chicago for 20 minutes was definitely there, but you know, instead I feel like local to me is like a mindset, it's a focus. I think now more than ever, in these crazy times we're living in, things are confusing, things are changing, and local networks are crucial. This is kind of the perfect place. I feel like most of the people in here know this already and understand this already, so I'm kind of speaking to my people. But it's necessary. If you don't have like a local support group, like I urge you to start working on that now. I've been doing this a long time now, 20 years or so, as the graying hairs will tell you. I feel like I'm, you know, a place of authority, like I know some things. But I'm also finding myself reaching out to people more than I ever have in my 20 years of doing it, which kind of to me tells me that things are confusing and weird and we don't really know what's gonna happen next, which is fine, you know, but like when you have a group and support, it's better to figure it out together. Also, you know, this might be, so I also feel like how you frame local, like what is local? It's your immediate area, but it's also you yourself. And I, right now, am very much focusing on myself. So I kind of thought that was maybe a little bit of a stretch, but you know, give me a little excuse to talk about myself real quick. So when Creative Mornings first hit me up, I was stoked because this is the third one I've hosted here in See You Soon. And I love these events, they're great. And selfishly, I got really excited about it because I was gonna get 30 seconds to talk about all the cool things I'm doing right now. It wasn't until I started writing that pitch that I started freaking out. I'm sorry, is it Maxwell? You kind of stole my bit here, but I think we're all a lot of us are probably experiencing this. We're just doing too many things. So fortunately, when Adune hit me up to talk, it was great. Like I actually had some time to dig into these things I'm doing. That said, I wanted to at least attempt the 30-second pitch. For illustrative purposes, I'm gonna sound like a crazy person, bear with me. Hello, I'm Clayton Hauck, and I run this space. It's called See You Soon, and while we're primarily a photo studio, we're also an event space available to rent. Hosting a shower, birthday party, perhaps a wedding? Reach out and check out our website, www.seeyousoon.space, to rent the room. We did our wedding here, my lovely wife Allison and I, who made the coffee cake. So I'm not just the spokesperson, I'm also a happy customer. Also right here in this space, I offer my Keep It 100 portrait sessions. These are fast, fun, affordable, and many Creative Morning fans have done it. I see a few faces in the crowd right now. Ask them about it. It's a good experience. I'm using portraits from this project to populate my new website, everyoneisfamous.com, which you can check out to see what the portraits look like, along with some fun interviews of many local faces who have participated. In addition to this space, I recently opened Realm Books. We operate as a pop-up shop specializing in photography, books, and zines. Find our next event on Instagram at realmbooks.co or browse anything in our beautiful inventory on our website, www.realmbooks.co. We offer free local delivery of anything from our website. And don't forget to check out my zine, which is also available on the website. Lastly, if you pre-order within the next week or so, you'll get a free signed print. This Sunday, right here at the Kimball Arts Center downstairs, we will be set up from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. along with 7 other artists and publishers for doing a zine and book fair. So anyway, I realize I sound like a crazy person. I'm doing too many things. I'm aware of this, and it's for many reasons. It's AI, it's social media, supply and demand. My specific industry, commercial photography, is kind of in a tough spot right now, which I've been sensing for a few years, and it's sort of why I've been trying out all these new things. I'm kind of choosing to look at it as a blessing in disguise, to put a positive spin on it. Things that I previously didn't have the time to explore, I now do have the time to explore, and I'm taking advantage of that. A quick list of the things outside my core competency that I'm currently working on are printing, zine and bookmaking, book selling, website building, Shopify, sales, writing, blogging, film photography, art selling, fine art, interviewing and podcasting, video and sound production, event planning, event production, small business promotion, studio managing, and of course, public speaking. Hold for laughter. I wasn't supposed to read that last part, sorry. So, I feel like I'm kind of breaking some bad habits that I used to have when things were cushy and easy, relatively speaking, where I would always kind of find an excuse to say no to things, whereas now I'm kind of finding the excuse to say yes to things, which has been really kind of freeing and interesting and fun. But to back up real quick here, I feel like some backstory is necessary, and I don't bring it up to talk more about myself. I don't love to talk about myself. I bring it up because it really fits the theme of local, I think, perfectly. It's kind of how I got my start in photography. I worked at a production company 20 or so years ago. It was my last full-time job here in Chicago. And actually, let me show you some photos here, so you don't have to look at my face anymore. So while I was working at the job, I was kind of slacking off, as we all do at our jobs, and just stumbled on a website, thecobrasnake.com. It was this dude out in LA who would just go out to parties, bars, music shows, and take photos and post them on his blog. And I thought it was a brilliant concept, so I looked around to see if anyone in Chicago was doing it, and couldn't find anything, so I figured I would try it myself. And I'm not like a super outgoing, get out of the house kind of guy. I'm kind of a homebody, so I had to force myself out of my comfort zone and go out and find parties and clubs and venues and make friends and take photos of strangers. And it wasn't the most comfortable thing, but it was really kind of how I taught myself photography in many ways. It was nice because it was sort of public facing, like the photos I was making would end up on my website that I created called everyoneisfamous.com. And because I knew everyone was gonna be seeing these photos, it was like putting pressure on myself to make sure the photos were actually good, which I liked. And I just kind of learned by doing, right? The coolest thing though, I think, that I was also doing very much unintentionally at the time was I was networking. I was meeting people. I was out there with a camera all the time, so people started to know me as the photographer. And when they needed photos of something, they knew to hit up Clayton. He's the guy that always has his camera out and about. And I was like hanging out with a lot of young people, and young people eventually get jobs at ad agencies. I see one of them in the room here. And then I started getting like hit up for like real jobs, not just getting paid in drink tickets. And it was crazy. It was unexpected. It was not planned. It just sort of happened organically. And the more I was doing it, I'm like hanging out with like young, attractive, crazy people. What do the corporations want? They want young, attractive people in their ads. You hear the word authenticity in every single pitch you've ever been on. And I just kind of happened to have it, which was great. I mean, it really helped my career. It allowed me to become a photographer and get paid real wages for a job that really just started as like a kind of a hobby and something I was doing for fun, essentially. So that sort of led to me one day showing up at like a portfolio review event. I didn't even have a printed portfolio at the time, so I brought a laptop filled with images, kind of what I'm doing here today, and ended up getting connected with my rep, my commercial photography rep, Erica Chadwick, shout out, she's still my rep today. And that just kind of began, this was probably like 12, 15 years ago now. So it kicked off like a process of me traveling the world, taking cool photos for corporations. So not all these jobs are exciting, some of them are boring, but it paid well, and that was great. However, I feel like it was great for a while, but I found myself, and it sort of took the COVID lockdown times for me to fully realize that I got a little bit complacent. I started phoning it in. I got a little lazy. I didn't really get my camera out. Like now I carry a camera with me at all times, as I did back when I was taking these photos. But there was a long stretch there where I wasn't really doing the work that drew me to the work. I was, phoning it in, like I said. So it was kind of the catalyst for me wanting to get back to my roots, as I keep telling myself, I'm getting back to my roots. Find the things that were working in the past, try them again. I realize I'm older now, I've got gray hairs. So you can't do what I was doing exactly, but that was sort of the origin story for this space, See You Soon Studio. In addition to just wanting to get the hell out of the house after COVID, I always wanted a studio, a space of my own to do stuff, and the moment I walked into this room here, it just felt right, it felt good, it felt like something I needed to figure out how to do. So that takes us to now, See You Soon. This was a little over 4 years ago now when this place opened. It's been very much a learning experience. Fortunately, during COVID, I had a regular client that was keeping me busy, and that gave me the financial confidence to take a risk on something like this, which is not a cheap endeavor. But optimistic thinking, I'll figure it out. I figured I would be doing a lot of my own shoots here. I figured I'd be renting it out to photographers for their shoots. And sometimes the universe doesn't work the way, honestly, often, if not always, the universe doesn't work out the way you think it will. And I lost my big client, the phone stopped ringing, and kind of just generally speaking, production kind of slowed down. So it's really forced me to figure it out, try new things, change it up. Currently, I'm kind of turning this place a little bit more towards being an event space than a photo studio. I mean, we still do a lot of photo shoots here, but it's a great room for doing things like dinners and screenings and art shows and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, it's been an amazing place to try things and experiment and get out of my comfort zone, kind of like I did 20 years ago when I was doing Everyone is Famous. And it's not always easy, and it doesn't always lead exactly where you think it will, but it's kind of like been the whole journey of my career has always been just like kind of coming up with an idea and going for it and seeing where it takes you. Plus, I'm up here at a Creative Mornings right now. Crazy. And again, it's like really just tapping into the theme, local. It's like I've met so many really cool people from Chicago because of the space, like doing events and shows. And as challenging as it's been, I have zero regrets about trying it because I'm a completely different person now than I was 4 years ago. We also got married here, which is crazy. One of the things that also came from having the space is my Keep It 100 portraits. So, I had some time to try some new stuff. Kind of like with me seeing the Cobra Snake, I saw this photographer down in Nashville, Jeremy Cowart, who was doing a similar type of setup. And I just thought it was so cool, I had to try it, I had to figure it out, I had to make it my own, I had to do it. So again, let me show you some photos here. Shout out Natalie. Yeah, it was really just like, so much like you're seeing now, I project the backdrops, the backgrounds. Typically I'm using my own photos as the backgrounds, but I'm always trying new stuff. I've been playing more with color and gradients lately. Really the main goal is just to have fun and try new stuff and see what works, what doesn't. And that's kind of the origin story. Technically speaking, I won't get into the details too much, but I have like a bunch of different lighting schemes that I set up. It kind of takes up most of the room here. It's a pretty big setup, and that's why I don't do it as much as I would like to do it. I wish I could offer it a little more frequently, but it's a pretty big technical setup, and every time I take a photo, it switches to the next lighting scheme, and then the next lighting scheme, and the next one. Sometimes I get crazy and I have like 8 different lighting schemes going with like gels and filters and crazy stuff. And then the background changes every 1 or 2 seconds. So each photo, every single photo is different, unique, and fresh. And around the time that I was trying this was like 2 or 3 years ago when like everyone was on LinkedIn was getting those AI portraits, which I just hated. And I was like, I think we can do something equally as cool and real through photography. Like we don't gotta lean on this AI stuff. So that was sort of like how the name came about, the Keep It 100, like keep it real. Shunning AI, essentially. So since I've been doing this, I've relaunched Everyone is Famous, my old website, and now I'm posting little profiles on, so I'll take a bunch of photos of the people at the session, and then I'll do a little Q&A with them after the session ends, and then I'll take all the photos in the Q&A and I'll post it on the website, kind of like Humans of New York-esque, but it's again, like it's something that I've never done. I've always loved Studs Terkel. I've always wanted to be Studs Terkel. I've never tried it though. So now I'm like, trying to like interview and talk to people and get better at that. And eventually I would love to take it out of the studio and do this in the real world, like running into strangers. And I bring that up because a week or so ago, someone asked me, they're like, Clayton, have you done your rural portrait thing yet? And I didn't understand how she knew about it. And I completely forgot that I had mentioned it at a talk I did last year. So I want to mention it again today, both to give myself the push to actually do it this summer, and also kind of curious what y'all think about it. So this idea came about while I was doing, I call it my Illinois wandering. I've been getting out of Chicago and just kind of wandering the state. We don't we won't get into detail on that. It's just kind of a personal project I'm working on. But while I was in a small town, central Illinois, I had the idea. I was like, why don't I just bring this setup down to the small town and do like a 1-week pop-up. So the idea is you spend 2 days kind of wandering the town, taking photos that are gonna be used as backdrops in the town, and then like meet people, get the word out, invite people to come do a portrait session, bring the family, bring the kids, let's have some fun, everything's free. And then spend 2 days taking the photos, making the photos with the people of the town, the locals, shout out local. And then, so I'm also getting very into printing lately with all this free time that I have. So bring my printer down and then, edit my favorites, print them, and then on the last day do a one-night-only gallery show in the town. Right? Kind of sounds fun? All right, so I got to do this. So yeah, it's like it's the definition of local, really. And local, we could also do this thing within neighborhoods, and Chicago doesn't have to be like a small town necessarily, but I think it's just kind of like the perfect encapsulation of a project like this to really kind of define the immediate surroundings. So lastly, would love to talk briefly about Realm Books. This is my kind of like the culmination of all of my love for photography through the years, has turned into a bookshop. We don't have a physical location yet. We're working on doing that. Because again, local is at the core of this idea. We want to build a local community, a place where people can go to talk about photography, nerd out about photography, do shows, do workshops, and sell photo books and zines. So a photographer buddy of mine and I, Jack Garland, we had been complaining to each other for years that Chicago doesn't have a photo-specific bookshop. There's tons of great bookshops in Chicago, don't get me wrong, but none that are like very much specifically focused on photography. So we decided eventually, F it, we'll do it ourselves. And here we are, we're almost a year in now. We've done a lot of, like almost 30 pop-ups now. Actually did one a few days ago in Louisville, sorry. So we've been hustling, we've been grinding. We've got like 150 books in inventory now, a bunch of zines. We've got the book fair going on downstairs on Sunday. We've got a website. And it's also kind of gotten me to start making my own zine projects, which I've really been enjoying. And it's a way to like look at your work differently in print, tangible objects, off of a screen. I think a lot of us are feeling, myself especially as an elder millennial, an urge to get back to the early days before the internet was the cesspool it is now. And that's really, I feel like the photo book is an underrated art form also. It's like the perfect way to put photos into one thing and tell a story. You can, juxtapose things and tell narratives through images. So that's what I'm very excited about now. And yeah, just to kind of wrap it up, we'll wrap it up early. Thanks, Ajud. I talk fast when I'm nervous. Yeah, to kind of wrap it up, I mean, like, clearly I'm doing all these different things, and kind of like I touched on earlier, I just feel like the world needs more creativity now than ever. I mean, with the things that are happening, I feel an optimistic take on it is, I think most jobs are going to be affected, and the creatives are probably going to be in better shape than a lot of these other, like the accountants, for example. And now is the time to actually lean in and go all in on creativity and finding your voice and exploring these things that maybe you don't always want to do because they're difficult or they might not work out. Even if they don't work out, they often lead somewhere that does work out and changes you as a person and inspires you to keep going. So thank you all for coming out and listening to me. I appreciate it.
Take that out. Let's keep it going. Give him a round of applause. Please do that. We have so much time for Q&A. I know that we're probably burning with questions, so this is your time. Anyone who has questions, let's see your hand. Okay, wonderful, right up here.
I'll give you a softball question. What is the camera in your pocket right now?
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah, so the camera in my pocket. I've always been taking photos. For years, I was using my iPhone a lot. It's just so convenient. It's always there. I joke that we're all, literally everyone is a photographer now because we all have phones, we all have cameras in our pockets at all times. But I wanted a camera that actually fits in my pocket, so it's a Ricoh GR3. I wish they would sponsor me. You have one? Yeah, they're great cameras. I feel like a dozen people have bought this just from me using it and posting. And it fits in your pocket, and it shoots raw images, and there's a real lens, and you can kind of do a lot more in post than an iPhone. So I've been loving it, and most of the photos in my blogs are from the pocket camera. I've kind of been giving myself a self-assigned project where, I'm sorry, this is a long off topic now, long-winded answer. So the blogs, pointing at stuff is also my blog. Maybe I mentioned that, maybe I didn't. And the photo blog is what turned into the zine, and this was really a way for me to get out of my comfort zone and start doing photography that I hadn't been doing. And I knew it would kind of be boring and weird at first, but it was like a process, right? It's like retraining my brain and my mind to look for things that I wasn't looking for. So that's why I wanted to have a camera on me at all times, because you never know when you're going to encounter something cool, and you got to be prepared. Yeah. Anyone else?
Curious to learn more about Keep It 100. How you can
Yeah, I'm bad at branding and yeah. So there's a QR code. There's a QR code on the wall. Scan that. So there's a website, seeyousoon.space. There's like a sign-up form on there. When I have sessions going, you can book on there. I don't currently. I was hoping to get something locked in before today, but part of the problem is with the space being more of an event space now, it's hard for me to find a window of time to do it because it's like takes up the whole room, as you know. So longer term, I'm hoping maybe, best case, that I have another space somewhere else that can just be kind of always set up and do this a little more regularly, because I love to do it. So to answer your question, seeyousoon.space, or follow my socials. I'll post about it anytime I do it. And there's also an email sign up, so whenever I have sessions available, I'll blast out the email for people to sign up. Thank you for your interest. Any other questions? Yes.
So what are some of the lessons you've taken as a small business owner that you're like, the creative part is like the real fun part, I'm assuming, like something you're passionate about. But the things that you're like, man, I wish I had maybe learned a little bit more about, the things you've learned along the way, that you would have bestowed upon people. It's like, if you're thinking about branching out, here's some consideration. Food for thought.
Yeah, so the question is, the creative stuff is the fun thing. What's some advice I've learned to help people do the creative stuff? Is that kind of what you're getting at?
Just kind of branch out as like independent business owners, like,
Yeah, to do like the business side of things.
yeah.
I mean, again, like I wish I was better at it. Like just one thing I've learned recently, a good friend of mine is like a big time like director of communications at Bass Pro Shop, like crazy. And I've known him forever, and one day he's like, dude, he's like, you are doing so many cool things and nobody knows about them. And that's been my problem forever, is I feel weird telling people about my stuff. I just want to do it, and I think they'll discover it. They'll know it's cool, right? But the world does not work that way. You got to tell people your ideas and show them your projects, and you got to be a salesperson, basically, which is hard for a lot of creatives to hear, myself included. Sales is the name of the game. It's very important. I am only now starting to get better at it as a 43-year-old. So yeah, it's really kind of like making sure to not neglect it, to put time on the calendar to do the things like do a blog post, put your blog post on Facebook. Like things that sound cringe to me is how people see them. I have a Substack now, which I hadn't had. Instead of doing Substack, I was doing my own little blog, pointingatstuff.com, thinking people would see it, but no one sees it. It's just something that exists on the internet. And that wasn't the goal with the blog. That was really just to do my own thing and learn how to write better and retrain my brain. But you also need to tell people what you're doing. And there's a million ways to do it. I think finding ways to do it where it makes you feel authentic and like from the heart is like the key. And that's not easy, I realize, but yeah. Any other questions? What's up?
Wait, good to hear your story. Been in this space a few times. It's amazing. And I have a question about AI. What do you think we're all challenged by AI because it's exciting. It's also we're kind of burned out by it. Depending on the industry, it's affecting us all. What do you think are the kind of greatest pros of it and the greatest cons of it?
Greatest pros and cons of AI.
In your world.
In my world specifically. All right, there are some pros. Don't get me wrong. I'm not like a total AI Luddite, like we can't use it. There are definitely pros to it. I mean, it makes a lot of things easier. Partly how I'm doing my Everyone is Famous website is because I use AI to like transcribe my interviews and reformat them. Because I wasn't doing that at first, and it was like, I can't do this. It's so time consuming. But now that I'm using AI as a tool, it's enabled me to do the fun, creative stuff. I don't think it's gotten to the point where it's like, I mean, it's scary. The cons are that literally it's already kind of there. Like it can do all of this stuff. And that was how I was left with a bad taste in my mouth at the industry event, was like hearing that the corporations are just really turning to AI kind of first now to do the stuff because it's cheaper. That said, it's never going to be like art. So I'm kind of finding myself pivoting more towards art versus commerce for that reason. Another con is it's probably going to kill us all eventually, but you know. It's too early to talk about AI. We'll talk about AI at like 6 o'clock over beers. So yeah, anyone else? what is bringing me joy lately? I mean, honestly, so that's like kind of so many things. It's really great, like, as I've been starting to pivot my career more towards doing my own personal projects, I see like beauty everywhere. And it's really cool, and I'm gonna tear up just thinking about it. Like wandering around Illinois, like looking for things to take photos of is like so fun. And previously, when I wasn't like treating it like a self-assignment, it was just like, oh, this is boring, there's like cornfields and stuff. But now I'm like hunting for images at all times, and that is very joyful, and it's great, and I love it. Yeah. Also, my wife is a great baker. Shout out to her. She made all the coffee cake this time. She very much brings me joy also. We got one more?
You said you're doing many things, learning and growing and expanding. If you needed support or you identified you needed support with all the things that you're doing and someone wanted to pitch themselves to you to help, how should they pitch themselves?
It's a great question. To repeat it, she asked, if I needed help with stuff, how can someone pitch themselves to me? Yeah. I need to be more open to this, because clearly I need more help. I am doing way too many things. Yeah, hit me up, DM me, email me, let's chat. I felt like just to dig down a little deeper on that, I'm very aware that I can't do all this stuff. I'm gonna drive myself insane very soon. So this is kind of my year of like refocusing, taking the things that are working and doing them more, and taking the things that aren't working and not spend as much time on them. But also very much I need help. Like if I'm gonna run this place, for example, as an event space, I can't do it myself, I need people. And currently I'm doing most of it myself, so yes.
Any other? We have some time. I'm gonna bring it back around.
Yeah.
What's your favorite local spot?
Ooh, now I regret not talking about Chicago the whole time. I mean, Chicago's an amazing place. I've lived here all my life. I've traveled a lot, but I've always found myself coming back to Chicago and staying here because I think it's kind of like, someone asked me recently, like, why I love Chicago, and I'm like, I need to come up with a better answer. But the diversity is one thing. They're not just in people, like the diversity in people is amazing, but there's also diversity in food and textures and architecture and weather. I appreciate that, not everyone does. And it's great, and especially as like a visual person, like the city has everything that I want from it, other than hills. I wish there were some hills here. But favorite places was your question? Yeah.
Hidden gem.
Hidden gem. I mean, oh man, putting me on the spot here. There's a great Rootstock is an amazing little restaurant that's been around forever that I used to live right by, so I was eating that cheeseburger all the time, and it's delicious, and still like not everyone knows about it or goes there. I don't know why, but that's a great hidden gem. And also just like the dive bars and the corner bars in this town, like to kind of stay on topic of local. I mean, that's one thing that Chicago has that's amazing is like you can just walk into a corner bar and like have a conversation. And like this happened to us last week. We stopped into Solomon to have a beer, and then like 2 days later, the guy we ran into there is like, "Hey Clayton, can we do a bunch of work at your studio for my agency?" So I'm not saying you need to be drinking all the time while doing this. That's like a me thing, but yeah, I mean, just get out of the house, and it leads places, and you never know where it will lead.
Well, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Clayton. That was wonderful. Keep giving him a round of applause. Yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed. I know I did. There's a lot of things to take away and really inspired to stretch myself more. I love the thought of just growing in the places that